right, it is now time for raising funds for World Domination, day number 184. So, it's time for the daily update. Once again, this is kind of old news now. The remaining 13 applications were rejected. Is this wire hitting me here? Yeah, so those were dismissed, and I could stay in the apartment. I did learn that there was supposedly the landlord stated an intention to try and appeal the ruling, but I have no official word on that yet, and today's Saturday, so no updates from yesterday. Hack Matrix says hello. How's it going? Edmund Edit says yo. How's it going? Yeah, so the rent eviction front is fairly quiet. The next thing I'm working on is the Shopify Store, so no updates on that. Products are still disabled in Merchant Center. I haven't really saw much about that in the last few days. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to do some research. There are some YouTube videos people I watched about, like, people had some, there's a few videos people had about, like, he reviews pages and says, like, why you gotta have, like, links in the right place and stuff, and all kinds of, like, qualitative nonsense. Made 7 physical sales through the store. All of them are shipped. And I sold another sponsored block type a few days ago, and I committed that and posted today. Shall I use Python or JavaScript? It depends what you want to do. I've heard JavaScript is more powerful. I would say generally they're used to solve different problems. Python is like the types of problems you solve with those languages are not usually interchangeable. I don't actually, that's a good question. Is there any kind of, anyway, yeah, there wouldn't be. There's nobody does front end web programming in Python, so that's out if you want to do front end web programming. It's mainly for desktop programming. JavaScript you can technically use it for desktop stuff, but JavaScript is designed mostly around web stuff. So I'd say probably that would be the first question: is it desktop programming or web programming? Congrats on not being kicked away from your apartment. Yep, I'm going to continue to live here, and not just me too. There's like 30 people. I don't know the exact number because like one person actually passed away, and then some 15 or something won under technicality, and then one still had to get back to the tenant board, and then there's like 14 or something that won. But I think some of the cases they were actually won. I think a couple of those were like people actually left the building since then. They gave up before the case ended. But it's pretty lucky break for at least some of those people who were in a really desperate situation, especially the older people. I consider Python to be more powerful than is generally used. Script systems. Yeah, I think it's good for small prototyping stuff. Again, I think it's the choice of language depends on what you're doing. Yeah, I think that question about are you writing stuff for desktop or for web? Because if it's a web, you can't use Python. I'm sure there's probably some way to like cross compile it or something, but nobody writes front end web in Python. CPython can use C extensions. Can beat JavaScript in some areas. Beat JavaScript. I mean, like for efficiency, or yeah. Once again, I think the right answer depends on some questions that are not asked. Okay, so that's the update in the store. There's 2 new sponsored block types available. They're getting expensive now, $32. And today I continued working on that marketing video that I've been working on forever. I guess it's been 23 days now I've been working on that. Today I did more recording. So I was thinking maybe it would just be today recording and then tomorrow, but I think it'll probably be maybe split it to 2 days. And then editing. Let's say we're at 60% editing, because I got most of what's recorded edited. So maybe by like Monday, it could be like functionally completed. But of course, it's like I gotta do title and thumbnail and then upload and in data processing, NumPy, Torch, CUDA, TensorFlow, Pandas are all written in C. Yeah, I guess that's another aspect of. It depends what you're doing, because if you're doing like heavy numerical computation, then Python wins for sure, because of all those libraries and stuff. Like there's tons and tons of libraries for that stuff in Python and packages. Do you consume any drugs? Caffeine, alcohol, nicotine? For me, caffeine is my only drug. I have a coffee in the morning, and that's about it. For performance and creativity, yeah, I'm not into that stuff. I know there's people, there's a whole subset of people who are like, into mind hacking and doing all kinds of stuff to like unlock more of your brain, but that stuff is, I don't know. I think that, I think a lot of the people who are into that, they believe it helps them more than it actually does. And there's also, other effects that are not necessarily obvious. Bro thinks people snort caffeine. I don't know. I'm sure there's someone out there that does. That seems pretty woke. What specifically seems woke? This guy is definitely a bot. Is he? I don't know. It's to me that comment does not fit among the other comments here, but it doesn't necessarily seem like a bot. Not enough information. Okay, let's continue on the block mining simulation game work. Okay, we got a new repo today. I merged in existing changes. let's compile, see what we got. He brought in woke out of nowhere. I assume it's maybe a joke or something, or it is a strange non sequitur. Oh, caffeine and woke? I guess. It's hard to... There's too many free associations to make. Tell me, you guys, we're here on day 3. Is it political to drink coffee? I guess if it wakes you up and makes you woke, then it is. Okay, I changed the oh yeah, one thing I forgot to look up was the definition of an aspect ratio. Ratio of its width to its height. Okay. So it's x divided by x divided by y. I guess technically it should probably be the other way around. Sure, but X Ubuntu getting hacked. I did not. Hack was so bad, I think whoever did it either was a child or just joking. Website was hacked and downloaded. Download file was replaced by malware. That's not good. Can you make any inputs yet? There's a difference between OG and up to date. Can you make any inputs yet? Is that a question for me? Yes, it's a question for me. What do you mean by, can you make any inputs yet? Inputs to the game? Of course you're going to make inputs to the game. How do I make a CPU? Oh, it's easy. First you get a rock, then you smash the rock. Now you've got 98% concentrated silicon dioxide. Understood. If data flow to audio codec isn't continuous, then codec begins to generating noise. It was my problem. I don't know what that's talking about. Up, down, right, left on the keyboard. Kind of inputs. Yeah, that's worked since even before I started the series. Exactly what I wanted here. Excellent. Okay, so if aspect ratio is x divided by y, then that's giving x squared. So I think I want that. Actually, maybe I don't, because that's... You know what, I'll have to come back to that and think about it after. So I've got a ton of bugs still in this thing. This is becoming an absolute monstrosity. I was thinking about this today, and I think I may even have to rewrite this approach again. I had an idea in mind about how this model would work. And in hindsight, I think it can be much simpler. So if I do this, does it still crash? I found code for manufacturer, but they do buffer size plus equals 4 and read data from nowhere. Strange, I guess. I don't know. Guess they maybe have bugs in their software. Have you heard of base 44? Have I heard of base 44? That's a pretty random question. I guess based on the aggregate of maybe what Yoshikaga said is right. Maybe you are a bot, or maybe you're just another one of those people that always ask me a random question, or like a series of random questions. Have you heard of Base 45? Okay, that's working. But of course it's kind of weird when the orientation changes. It's an AI app creation thing. Okay. So Base 44 is the name of the product? I guess that could make sense. I thought you were just maybe I don't know, it's difficult with chat. It's hard to tell, is someone a bot, or are they insane, or are they making a clever joke, or something, the context missing, or is it a typo? You never know. Okay, something I think I can, that's pretty brainless that I can make progress on, is I have a bunch of off by one errors. Website can create working apps in like 10 minutes. Nice. What, like web apps or mobile apps? Race Robert in creating block mining simulation game. Like Paul Bunyan. Creating applications is not a problem. Support of applications is a real problem. That's why we have a new profession, vibe code cleaner. I'm pretty concerned that it will replace web dev. It'll be equivalent to AI slop. Yeah, but it seems like with a lot of these AI slop things, like you can get a solution, but it's full of like, what would you say? They're like, they're very high entropy solutions. Like you end up with a solution where like it's really badly designed. It doesn't make sense. So you can, once you get past a point, I think that it ends up creating like, well, I guess if we automate it, it'll have to go like a back and forth approach. Like we'll have to have AI. Like you probably have to use AI to create your AI slop thing. And then if you want to use AI to create test cases to fix the behavior you want. And then use AI to simplify it. And say, simplify this as long as it passes the test cases. And then it might do that. And then you can like start adding new complexity. But it's going to be like not straightforward. For the base 64. Or base 36. Yeah, I don't know, base 44. I don't know, I'm also skeptical of a lot of this stuff too. Because it could be, I would imagine a lot of these AI companies are making bots that just go around and like spam random chats. And they're like, have you heard of this new AI tool? It's amazing. You should try it. Doesn't take a lot to fix. Only a few hundred lines of code. I don't know. That statement is too precise to be correct in general. Use AI to create test cases for a physical robot. And it destroyed my robot attachments because it was running tests on the actual robot. Nice. should you try and program a bot on your own chat? Next one tomorrow night. I will eventually. I have a long list of priorities that are. But before I use one of these, like people keep telling me to use these AI tools. I tried using them in the past. I tested them out. So actually, that's the reason I started using IntelliJ. Was because I wanted to try the AI integrations, and then I googled it, and it said that they were so terrible. Like it couldn't even copy and paste and stuff. It was just buggy. And then I tried, Copilot on GitHub. And at first it was like internal server errors for a day. And then I went back and tested it again. There was a couple things where I was like, that's pretty good. Where I'd say like make a class that's like this other class. And it did a pretty good job. For like kind of speeding up templating. I guess the consensus is cloud AI seems to be the best one to use. But before I try it, I want to actually sit down and like research it, and learn how it works, and read the terms of service and stuff, and make sure it's not gonna, like, you can put these things in like agent mode where it basically just does whatever it wants. But not really keen on letting some third-party AI run by Silicon Valley investors run arbitrary commands. Do you know what dihydrogen monoxide is? Water. What is the temperature? The temperature is 1. Thank you for asking. Is the temperature thing an inside joke? Michael Parker was another commenter who had a lot of like robotic comments that seemed like totally random and non sequitur. So we hypothesized that he was a bot. And then I pointed out the repetitive nature of the questions, and so now he only asks what the temperature is. Let's see if that breaks everything. Shouldn't be surprised since I'm a bot. But why do you do this? What benefit does this bring to you? As Kant once said, all humans do for a reason, to make them live to the next day. Well, there's your answer. I do it to live to the next day. Right, that does not crash. What benefit does it bring you? What benefit does what specifically bring me? Doing this every day? I'm raising funds for world domination. How else am I supposed to get the funds? I can also advertise my Shopify store. You should check it out. You can buy a sponsored block type. Monetization is off. Yeah. I have monetization off because I don't know. Actually, earlier I had been thinking I could make some clips or something, but I just don't even have time to make clips. I guess if I stop doing this, then I'll have time to actually make clips, and I'll have a lot of content to go on. But like when you turn on monetization, you have to pledge, like, I hereby certify this does not contain, like, sensitive issues and this and that, and but I have no idea how strict that is. And most of the content, like the amount of ad revenue that comes from streams, is basically zero. So there's no point in turning it on. Most of it is from super chats and memberships. I wanted to ask fundamental game design questions. What emotion are you wanting to invoke in players of your game? I'm not really sure. It's I don't know what you'd. I don't know if you could describe it as an emotion, but I think more about like the psychological interest that people have in like collecting things, and like the fact that there's they can model developing the game around the theme of like actual minerals mining. It's just such like a fundamental thing that I think it's a good place to start a game hook. Is game an escape from reality? And games are now more realism oriented. Is game an escape from reality? I don't know. I guess some people describe it that way. Will the players be surprised at aspects of your game while playing? Possibly. I guess ideally, it makes sense to minimize surprise. There's many ways you could interpret that question. Some is about like, if the user interface is bad, then people will be surprised that they can do certain things, which is not really good. People actually like that about Dwarf Fortress. I was thinking more about content or mechanics. I don't know. I guess it depends how much content I can get added. I really need to get this UI stuff done and published so I can start just adding a bunch of new crafting recipes and get to the next growth stage, hopefully. Right now there's really like not much content in the game. But I'll probably start building it out around that loop of just like mine blocks, make better pickaxes. But I'll probably add some like crafting recipes that are more detailed around, like what I'm thinking now is for the process of making iron from the iron ore. I think it also makes sense to go a bit more into detail around the process of actually creating ore. So you need heat. You need something very hot. So not just wood, but you can take wood. You make charcoal with the wood. That'll be a step, and then also you can get lime or like a reducing agent. Your phone died last IRL stream, I think. Yeah, it did. Yeah, there's no way. I guess once it died, I have no way to end the stream, so that's why it just kind of spins. And then I had to wait until I get home to end the stream. But I didn't. I only planned to do about an hour or so. And the only reason I did that was because my laptop, my NVIDIA drivers got messed up. Got too deep into Canadian tundra. I think his phone froze. Will the game have screamers to surprise players? I guess that's a possibility. At the moment, there's no actual like NPCs or anything. I need to implement some of the server code a bit more for that. I usually just watch and wait for the people who call me a bot to fizzle out. And then I comment again. Well, maybe someone will call you a bot again. What is this and what are you doing? Your game dev makes sense. Why this is on my YouTube then? Honestly, I wouldn't really even identify myself as a game dev. Most of my experience has been in like server stuff and embedded stuff and not game dev. But I've made a lot of content along command line stuff, so that's why I'm making this what I consider a pretty novel. There's not too many terminal games out there, so my competition, I'm going to be best in category. Will CPUs be made at the game? Yeah, actually, a few people mentioned that, and I think it would make sense to just take like all the other stuff that I'm doing and just like put those themes and memes and stuff into the game. But I'll probably like games like Dwarf Fortress are in some ways, like people would say, people would compare this to something like Dwarf Fortress, but in a way I'd kind of almost want to make the opposite of Dwarf Fortress, because it's all Dwarf Fortress has some of like fictional stuff and like fictional narratives and stuff. I'm a bit more interested in like realism and like accurate simulation of the real world, which I think is a bit more. I think that also can make realism can make a game easier to understand, because everyone, like people, have some understanding of the real world. So if you can use your natural intuition about what you can and can't do, it makes it you don't have to explain reality to people, but you do have to explain like deviations from reality in the game rules. How do you know that Grant is a bot? Yoshikaga. Making a super violent graphic game. It's been all really fun to try out so far. I'm new to making games. Yeah, honestly, I have no actual game development experience in terms of like engines like Unity and stuff. Honestly, I haven't had time to play games in a long time. Will the game have a shell so I can run my favorite Linux command to modify the world? That's a good question. I was thinking about like adding the long-term thing would be to add like more abstract and arbitrary types of like blocks to the game. I like to just represent anything that I want, and I was thinking I could have special edition blocks that represent Linux commands, and maybe you do something with them in the game. I don't have that mapped out though. I just need more of these systems working. Okay, that might be all for those constants. The guy who taught me webdev aliased print commands to derp. What does that command do? Oh, it's all broken. It's not clear why that breaks. Oh, it might have just been initialization. Strange. Okay, I don't know what's going on there, but it's mostly okay. So the main reason why I did that was so we can test out this case. Still not quite correct, but it's better. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. Okay, something else. Yes, I need to change. I'm using the inner frame height. Now let's see if that totally breaks everything. All right. Does not crash. Excellent. So that's still weird though. All right, it looks good. RS, is that an advertisement for something? Sphere pane. Sounds like nonsense to me. Code heavy stream. Yeah, I don't know, I'm kind of making progress. I thought about it. This annoying list. This is taking me way more time than I wanted to spend on it. I thought I'd be able to crank this out fast. There's just some like really annoying, like for a terminal UI, it has to be good. It has to be like intuitive. So there's a few edge cases that I wanted to make work well. And to make them work well, I had to make it, again, like lots of like special case checks and stuff. It's like if you change the orientation or something, or if you like resize the window, to make it like make sure that the selected item is in the view, and eventually I would actually like to use this list for lists that you can scroll in both directions. But then I realized it's getting too complicated, so I'm probably gonna have to. I thought of a way. I think of a way to make it simpler, but it's gonna take more time. Right now, I'm changing. I used to just make it so the list was in the entire inside of the frame, but I'm making it so it's like relocatable, so you could have like one frame with multiple lists. And like for the crafting menu, I want to actually have like a title that says like crafting menu, and then it's got the list under it. And if the list takes up the whole frame, that's not possible. Have you thought about separating this into a general purpose TY library? I have thought a bit about that. Like I've spent so much time developing this that I could. But then again, I don't want to get side like this. I can endlessly sidetrack myself, wasting time refactoring things that don't matter, that no one will use. But I think I'll keep going with the game concept, and then eventually, as I develop and refactor this, if this eventually becomes like its own kind of standalone thing, like this class itself is becoming like I'm writing it as a kind of standalone thing that you could repurpose for other stuff. You could pretty easily like take it out of here and use it for something else. But I don't know, but we'll see. There's a limited amount of time to spend on things. So theoretically, this should look exactly the same. Oh, it's really broken now. All right, that's exactly what I want. No visible change. So now this would also be applicable to the help menu, because I have issues with the help menu renders weird where you can't if there's too many items in the help menu, you can't actually see them all. Alright, that's doing exactly what I wanted. It's got a renderable list. And it has a fixed offset and some padding. So I'll probably leave it. I'll probably leave it there for tonight, and I guess we'll pick it up again tomorrow for day 185. And then I think within a couple days I can probably finish that video I've been working on for the past 20 days. And then once that video is finished, I'll probably I'll maybe turn some attention to this during the day to kind of just finish it up, and so we can stop working on this and move on. All right, have a good night, everyone.